once again, hip hop and rap, media, music in general, when it comes to the black community, is typically pushing negativity, right? And granted, is there good quality hip hop and rap that has a real message that isn't just about drugs, sex, effing a bitch, effing a nigger, killing somebody? Yes, there is good, conscious, good quality rap with a decent message. However, that type of rap typically is not what's promoted. Typically isn't what's going to get most of the airtime, right? Typically not even in the mainstream. This is really some underground, you got to go and dig, to find in some cases, okay? Not in every case, but in some cases. So with that being said, if all we're going to be seeing is Future and Drake and Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj, and I'm just going to go and say it, and even though I love it, Megan Thee Stallion, I'm just being real. Cardi B, you know what I mean? Young Thug, etc. If all we're going to be talking about is how much drugs we're going to be using, because everything is about, codeine, dirty Sprite, drinking on the mud, pop the foe, smoking weed, popping pills, having all of these sexual escapades, sleeping with everything that walks, popping my pussy on a handstand, banging a bunch of hoes, shooting and killing everybody because we don't have conflict resolution skills. And, if this dude looks at you the wrong way, you need to pull out your gat and blow his head off. If that's the only thing that we're going to be talking about and promoting, you really can't be surprised that these kids are growing up thinking that that is acceptable behavior. And it doesn't help when in your own family, you're seeing what you see in the music videos, in the rap songs, also be played out directly in front of you. Because a lot of these kids are also seeing their parents behave this way. Their family members, their siblings behave this way. The communities that we're living in behave this way. So again, it's like people are watching a cesspool, living in a cesspool. And unfortunately, nature and nurture matter. And a lot of times you are a product of your environment. It doesn't mean that you have, just because you come from an environment that's toxic and dysfunctional, doesn't mean that you are necessarily going to be toxic and dysfunctional. But the likelihood of you being toxic and dysfunctional is high as hell. Okay? We just have to be real about some of these things, instead of sitting up here trying to act stupid and obtuse like we don't know what's going on. So again, when that's what's being promoted, what better options do you have? And now let's talk about preference and how preferences, in my opinion, can actually be a negative. First of all, everyone has a right to date who the hell they want to date, love who the hell they want to love, right? You got your preferences. That's your right, your freedom. My body, my choice, right? However, when you look at a lot of people's preferences, whether you're listening to the cis man or the cis woman, you're always talking about all of these qualities, but when we see who you end up with, the people you end up with have none of these qualities. But because they look a certain way or they have money, that's the only reason why you're talking to them. Let's just keep it real, because y'all will sit up here and list all of these amazing qualities that you're looking for and then go and get with a Future. I'm just being real. List all of these amazing qualities that you're looking for and go and get with a hoe. And a lot of it boils down to how people look and what they have. Because a lot of this, I'm just going to be real, in my opinion, it is straight up superficial, materialistic, and it's all about physical attraction, sexual attraction, how much money do you have, things of that nature. Y'all not really looking for quality people, because if you were looking for quality people, you wouldn't be dating solely on superficial shit, solely on surface level shit. You would actually be trying to see if this person has a decent personality, has ethics, has morals. It wouldn't just be about how they look or how good the sex is or how much money they have. But that's how a lot of people date. And then social media and the media in general doesn't help, because we're constantly being told you got to be a high value man, a high value woman, hypergamy, hypogamy, whatever. Raise your standards, be in your masculinity, be in your femininity, blah, 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 blah. But you literally have men who, well, if she doesn't have a slim waist, big ass, big tits, I ain't talking to her. You got women, if he's not 6 feet or taller with a six pack and making six figures, I'm not talking to him. So, and those are your preferences. By all means, you have every right to have your preferences, but don't sit up here and complain that you're not finding quality people when you're dating based off of your preferences. You're not actually, and then let's be real, some of us have the same preferences that we had when we were fucking kids. Okay, like you literally got people that's in their 30s and 40s thinking that they're going to run into people like Usher and Beyonce. Okay, like they literally still have the same mindset that they had 10, 15, 20 years ago when they were children, when they were preteens, adults, and young adults. It's just, I'm just going to go on and say it. To me, it's stupid. I should not have the same standards and preferences that I had in 8th grade today at 30. So that's my whole point. Like, are you really looking for quality people, or are you just looking for a preference? And then what's hilarious about the preference conversation is everybody is all gung-ho in support of preferences until they are not the other person's preference. Because that's another thing. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. You'll have all of these men talking about how she should have made a better decision, and she got with Ray Ray because he had money and he had muscles and he was tattooed and blah, 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 blah. But in the same breath, you have preferences and you didn't want to date old girl who was actually interested in anime, okay, playing video games, cared about you, was showing up, respectful, cooked for you, took your feelings into consideration. You didn't want her because she didn't look like Beyonce. So that's what I mean by a lot of us need to just stop, right? Because it's like you're passing up quality people based off of superficial things and then getting on social media complaining about how there's no good people out here, when in reality, you don't want those people. Just say that. Like, that's my whole thing. Let's own up to it. Because a lot of this, oh, there's not any good people. There's good people. It's just that a lot of times you're not physically or sexually attracted to them. So you're not going to talk to them. I think a lot of people need to be more honest about that, because it's just really mind-boggling to me. Because there's a ton of Russell Wilsons. If we're going to be honest. There's a lot of Russell Wilsons. But because he's not overly aggressive, he's not operating from a place of toxic masculinity, he's not showboating, whatever it may be, you don't want to talk to him. So you got to start also asking yourself, what is it about you that has you attracted to trash? And I'm just going to go on and say it, because somewhere down the line, it's you. The common denominator is you. I had to realize that for myself. So that's what I mean by, what do we really mean by making a better decision if you're just going to continue to date the same types of people? Then you're never going to make a better decision, because you're going to keep talking to trash, because that's your preference.